Alt Rock Radio Now is recorded and produced at Music City Studio in Kelowna, BC. Music City Studio is a recording studio and rehearsal space that also hosts jam nights and runs workshops and courses. Visit musiccitystudio.ca for more details. Touring musicians welcome. Hello and thanks for tuning in for another episode of Alt Rock Radio Now. This is our 8th episode. Can you believe it, Michael? The shows are just whipping by, and we do hope you're all enjoying it out there, everything that we've brought you so far, but there's so much more to come, which is something Mike says frequently. For those of you that don't know, if this is your first time listening, my name is Vincent Jones and I'm the host of this show. And I'm also lucky enough to be sat here looking at the adorable faces of Valaura Vedan and Mike Pedersen, who join me in the studio every week. They're awesome people, and if you've been listening to the show regularly, you'll know that already, and if you haven't, you'll find out soon enough. So let's jump right into our first song this week. It's a tune from a band called Snow Mantled Lovers, and they're described on their Facebook page as a little trio from London, Ontario, making bedroom pop in a tiny studio. Their song is called The Bear. So once again, that was Snow Mantled Lovers with The Bear. All right, let's clean everything up from last week. You may remember if you listened in that we put out a request on social media. By the way, actually, I should mention that now. You can find us on Facebook under Alt Rock Radio Now and also on Twitter as well. Anyway, we put a request out there for topics people would like us to talk about. And one question was a little tricky. It was a bit of a thinker. So we decided to wimp out of answering it last week and we deferred it to this week's episode. So hopefully you'll get more respectable answers than our answers to the film question. Well, everyone else had good answers. I just had a bad one. Anyway, Luke Mortensen, who's in a band called Paperboy, who I've mentioned a couple of times, he's the one that put the question to us. And just a refresher of what the question was, he asked us, what song would we play to start a riot? So we've all had a bit of a think on this. I know I've flip-flopped a little bit in this past week. I'm going to throw it out to you guys first, put you on the spot. Mike, do you have your pick? I know you've been thinking about this.
No, I haven't been thinking about it. That's the problem. But I didn't do any of my homework this week. But I was just thinking back to when we were in a band, and some of the music that would make people in the crowd the most rowdy was stuff like AC/DC. We had people flipping tables and fighting sometimes. So I guess just from experience, I've seen people get close to starting riots in bars from some good old AC/DC.
There you go. Yeah. Smooth. V, do you have a one for us?
Yeah, actually, I did a little bit of research and had a little think on it, and I have a few actually. So probably the first one and the most recognizable would be Sleep Now in the Fire by Rage Against the Machine. So, good, cool. Solid, classic, rowdy, appropriate video. From my favorite band, Incubus, I would say Megalomaniac, which isn't necessarily riotous in the traditional sense, but it's still really good. And then the band that I played on I think I played them on the first episode, The Flu, who are a band out of Kelowna, BC. I would play their song called Critical Mass, which may or may not, I don't think I played that one on the first episode, but it's really, really awesome and super like, if you want to do some headbanging moshing, you want to listen to that song.
Good stuff. Nice. I want to stick it to the establishment now. Anyway, I guess I should say what mine's going to be, hey? Originally, as I mentioned last week, I was thinking White Riot by The Clash, or maybe Anarchy in the UK by the Sex Pistols. Then when I went away and thought about it, I started thinking about like NWA, Fuck the Police. I just really wanted to say that, I guess. But I've come around more to the idea, as I've been thinking about it, of a song called New Radio by a band called Bikini Kill. And so I think that's the answer I'm going to go with. It's like a minute and a half thrash. That's just a song that if I was going to start a riot right now, that is what I would blast. I'm not saying all the time it's what I would pick, but right now, that is what I would play. And if Luke wants to start a riot with me, he has to have that one on his playlist. So so there you have it, Luke. There are our answers. And I think with that, what was you going to say, man?
Oh, I was going to say, you guys had good answers. I sort of just pulled that one out of my ass on the spot here, but
you know what?
You guys did your homework.
Yours was good, though, because yours had the sort of personal experience of seeing the AC/DC tracks almost start a riot.
Yeah.
So, did you ever almost end up in a fight?
No, we would just get to keep playing and enjoy the show.
Just watch what was going on.
Yeah.
From
Hope
the
that
stage.
Everybody stays safely away from the expensive equipment and instruments.
Exactly, yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's get into another song while we're talking about music. It comes from a band called The Wet Secrets, and they're a 5-piece rock and roll dance band from Edmonton. It says on their Facebook page that they play the kind of music you could expect to hear if the Stranglers piggybacked Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass through the Rose Parade. So that gives you an idea what these guys are all about. So let's have a listen to their song. It is called Sunshine.
Paranoia reigns and you get
once again, that was the Wet Secrets with Sunshine. Mike, I always do this when we have sort of a name that could be, what's the word I'm looking for? A double entendre.
Right.
Do you have any wet secrets?
I thought you might ask that. No.
Yeah, sure you don't.
It's not appropriate.
I've seen that boyish smile. So we answered our question from last week, but I do want to go back just one more time to last week's show as well. I don't want to keep harping on about it for anyone that listened in, but I'm going to do it anyway. You know that we mentioned movies last week, and I could see it in your eyes that you lost respect for me when I said Dumb and Dumber was one of my favorite movies.
It's a good one.
Well, there was
maybe you might have lost some respect for you, but I thought it was a good.
I lost some respect for you. I did.
You know,
I freely admit it.
I'm in negative equity now though, because I don't know that I had very much respect to begin with. So, but you know, it was sort of tongue in cheek a little bit. Obviously, I know that from a cinematography point of view, it's not a classic. But that's just a movie that, you know, reminds me of my childhood and I enjoy and makes me laugh because it's stupid, and I kind of love stupid humor. I
don't think that surprises any of our listeners.
But you know that when I said last week on the show, I was like, I'm going to go away and I'm going to be like, damn it, Davin, because I'm going to think of a bunch of other movies that I really enjoy that are going to be way better than the ones I could think of on the spot when I was on the spot last week. Anyway, so I was in the shower. Oh, this is getting sexy. Ooh.
You have a wet secret, maybe.
You wish. Anyway, I was in the shower and I was, you know, soaping up as you do. And I was thinking about it. And I was like, shit, The Godfather. The Godfather, you know, obviously the first one.
Yeah.
Is one that I really enjoy. Goodfellas is another gangster movie that I really love. Shawshank Redemption. Schindler's List. Can you see the ones that came to me?
Right.
So I do like some movies of, you know, note, some that the critics like too. You know, I was amazed though. I looked at Dumb and Dumber online and they have like 6.9 on Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Who are these people?
Yeah.
No, but just to go back to that, you know, and like I say, this will be the last thing I say about it, but I think if I was to pick one fully that was my favorite, I would go Great Escape. Cool. I want to go on record with that for the people that have lost respect for me. The Great Escape is the one I'm gonna say. So you can't diss me anymore. That one's a good one.
I'll stick with Star Wars.
Yeah, you had a good one right out of the gate, and V had a good one too. I mean, it had Leo in it, so you know.
Hey man, he just won a Golden Globe.
I know. For
one step closer to getting that Oscar.
Leo's awesome. I love Leo.
It's amazing.
And
anyway.
Wolf of Wall Street's awesome too. But we shouldn't talk about movies again because we did it last week.
Back to the music.
Yeah, back to the music. And I think on that note, we should spin the track you've got for us, Mike.
Yeah.
Because you slacked off last week.
I did, yeah. And I almost did again this week. So there's a local, local band called Bear Meets World. And I think we might have played Bjorn Creel's tracks on the old show a while back. But you guys are familiar with Bear Meets World. And I think those guys are 16 years old. Somewhere, they're pretty young guys. Anyways, they're playing around here quite a bit, and it's cool to see them progress over the last couple of years and play some great shows and stuff like that. And they just released a track, I think it was last week. I think they put it together themselves as well, and it's called Cassie. So I thought I'd bring back some more. I've been kind of focused on local stuff. I play another local one this week. So this is Cassie from Bear Meets World.
Vanilla breeze when she whips her hair, and she always act like she don't care, ignoring me like I ain't even there. And it hurts me. And it hurts me. And you always wanna kiss my friends, loose ends, and I won't let it get me down. No, I won't let it get me down. Stop leaving me alone. Won't you please stop bleeding on the other boards. Vanilla breeze when she whips her hair. She always act like she don't care. Vanilla breeze when she whips her hair. Now I'm too sober to even
Cassie from Bear Meets World.
Nice tune. It's got a unique song structure to it, but I really like the one of the things I really like about it is his voice.
Yeah,
It's one of the things I always notice about songs.
for sure.
It's just what always catches me, and I like the guitar work as well.
Yeah, it'll be cool to keep an eye on these guys and see.
Yeah,
what they
especially with them being so young.
Yeah.
You know, they make good stuff on its own, but then when you factor that in as well, you're like, wow, respect.
for sure.
Respect. What was I doing when I was 16? V.
Wet secrets.
Yeah, plenty of wet secrets. Well, no, let's not go there.
Anyway.
V, I believe you have a topic that you thought would be good for the show. It's a secret. We don't know. It is a wet secret. Me and Mike don't know what it is.
Isn't. It really isn't.
Uh-huh.
So this kind of plays into the track that I'm going to be playing this week, but I kind of have been thinking for the last little while, in particular in regards to a YouTube video that I saw about country music. The track that I'm playing this week sounds very much like traditional country, but the band bills it as folk music. And there's kind of this division in country music right now, and in rock music, there's already lots of division. You know, you've got your traditional rock, classic rock, alternative rock, and country music is kind of going through this unique period right now where it's kind of losing its identity in some ways and being forced to evolve. And so the new term that everybody's throwing around is bro country, you know, so it's the guys who are like, yeah, let's get drunk and drive our trucks down to the river and, you know,
Right.
get laid. So it's really like, yeah, you know, I go to the gym and I got my hat, and it's just kind of, it's pop country and bro country, and
Right.
it all kind of blends in. So I guess this is my statement, and then you guys can speak to it. I kind of feel like country has such a bad rap for a lot of people, and is getting a worse rap with all this bro country stuff that's out right now, that people who are making country-esque music are starting to adopt the folk tag, even when their music is slightly more country than folk.
Right.
And I mean, folk and country have always been really similar anyway, so it's not really a problem. I just kind of am wondering what you guys think about that, if you think that folk is the new country.
Oh, that's an interesting topic.
It is, yeah.
First thing I would probably say, and this sort of talks even into our show and the fact that we're called Alternative Rock Radio now, and we don't strictly play what a lot of people might think of as alternative rock. I mean, we do for the most part, but at the same time we don't. I think music labels and genre labels are so loose and ill-fitting anyway.
For sure.
And, music journalists like them, or, music critics like them because they're just easy and they give people the opportunity to quickly know, what a sound's similar to.
Right.
But they're such ill-fitting things and they're evolving all the time that, for the most part, they're nothing more than just a statement of this is what it sounds like. Right. So I think that's the first thing that springs to mind for me. I do agree, like there does seem to be, and I'm not huge up on the modern country scene, but there does seem to be like that element of the bro country and that kind of stuff. Whether folk is the new country though, yeah, maybe, like you mean like country in the traditional sense, like that's sort of where the true country
in
is
the
going,
like,
right?
I mean, I guess the biggest holder of the folk banner at the moment is Mumford & Sons, right?
Right.
Who are, I mean, like, if you had asked me 8 years ago if I was going to be loving a band who had a banjo, I would have been like, yeah, okay, right. That's going to happen.
Right.
And I love them. I love Mumford & Sons. I think they're awesome. So obviously they're a lot more rock than country. I kind of feel like folk is kind of sometimes somewhere in between, and folk used to be a lot more about the songwriting, and I think in some ways it still is. That's, it's the folk tales is kind of where that comes from, and from this storytelling element. I mean, it's what Neil Young makes his brand on. So yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a really interesting question, just because I was kind of like looking into what some of these bands are labeling themselves now, and a lot of them are labeling themselves folk, and I'm kind of wondering if that's to capitalize on that or if it's to separate themselves from the country music banner, which...
Yeah, I think it could be a little bit of both, sort of wanting to there is sort of a negative stigma against country. A lot of people, when you're a country fan, you're a hardcore country fan, I think. You're like, yeah, I love my country, and anybody who doesn't like it can beat it kind of thing. And, I respect that. That's cool. But I think as well, there's a lot of people who don't like country, and there's this, it's black and white to a lot of people. You either like it or you hate it. Or love it or you hate it kind of thing. And so maybe there is that element there where they're sort of trying to distance themselves. I don't know that I have anything super insightful to say on this topic, I'll be honest about that.
Yeah, I don't either. And maybe if I had a few examples of a song maybe that was labeled as folk and to maybe decide if I thought it was country or not, but I'm not too into the country scene either. Mm-hmm. But, maybe I could see it where there was a band who was maybe coming out as a folk band, and that was sort of their roots and kind of what they were into. And maybe they got in with a producer or something like that, or a marketing team that wanted to sort of make their sound more country-ish. So maybe it got taken in a different direction than what they were actually doing. And maybe their live show was more of a folk thing than a country thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely think it's an interesting topic though. And I know exactly where you're coming from in terms of seeing a label and then being like, interesting. I mean, I've noticed recently a lot more bands than previously using, alternative again, or alt.
Right.
Which was part of the reason we went with the name that we did for the show. But yeah, you know, whereas in the past indie might have been the term, and then maybe that got so ubiquitous or you know, so common that people started, well, we'll do alternative again, which is sort of what happened with the alternative in the first place. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting topic, and it's a thinker. But like I say, I just don't know that I have anything super insightful to say. So rather than ramble on, people being like, shut the hell up.
Okay, well, so I mentioned at the beginning of my kind of rant/question that I'd seen a video on YouTube. Maybe I didn't mention this. Anyway, there's this video on YouTube that was done by an Entertainment Weekly writer, and I can't remember the exact title of the video, but basically it's something along the lines of like why country music was awful in 2013. So I'll post it up to Facebook later on in the week, and you guys listeners out there, please feel free to weigh in. In the meantime, we'll listen to the band who started this whole conversation in my head, and you guys can tell me what you think maybe when we come back from listening to it. So the band is called Lowly Spects, and they're out of Orange County, California, and the song is called My Dead Body.
All that's true gets locked inside. And will I ever find it? Will I ever find it? Spending your time pushing me away. Do I ever mind it? Do I ever mind it? Oh my Lord, it's a shame. Oh my Lord, who's to blame? They're my dead bodies on the water, bodies on the water. Kind of love is a terrible array of what she is not finding, what she is not finding. She falls apart but holds it all in. Oh, love is still unwinding, love is still unwinding. Oh my Lord, it's a shame. Oh my Lord, who's to blame? My dead bodies on the water, bodies on the water. Oh my Lord, it's a shame. Oh my Lord, who's to blame? They're my dead bodies on the water, bodies on the water. Don't come down here no more. She said, go away. And my dead bodies on the water, bodies on the water. Oh, 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 oh,
So once again, that was Lowly Spects with My Dead Body. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I like that song. I do. You said that's one of their most folky songs.
I chose this song off of their pages and websites that was the most sort of folk sounding, as opposed to something that was a little bit more country.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to check out the rest of their stuff, it's really, really great.
Cool.
No matter what label you put on
Yeah,
it.
no,
So.
I definitely felt like that one was folky for sure. But I have to check out the rest too.
Yeah, but then at the same time, it is a folky track, but at the same time, you can definitely hear that country element. And there's also a Mumford & Sons sort of styling to it as well in there. Not to say they're the same, but, you know, there's definitely that sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed that song. And I just want to say again, it's a great question that you brought up. I'm sorry that I didn't have anything better to say. And that's, nothing against the topic. It's just I don't.
It's okay. As the kid who grew up on country music, out of the three of us, it's understandable that I would have a little bit more to say on the topic.
But no, good topic. And you guys, I want to say that actually, because sometimes I feel like I'm the schoolmaster sitting here throwing out the questions and being like, tell me what you guys think. But that's just because I put a lot of the show together, and I don't want you to feel like I'm putting you on the spot. So feel free to, bring your own topics like V's done this week. And
for sure.
Throw whatever you want, and throw questions at me too. Put me on the spot, make me look stupid and say things like Dumb and Dumber are my favorite movie. Because
that goes for our listeners too.
That's right.
Please send us questions, song suggestions, band suggestions. It's a better conversation when you guys are involved in it. So please, by all means, find us on Facebook and Twitter and get involved.
Mm-hmm. And then when I'm unprepared, then I can just go onto our Facebook page and pull a band off there and pretend I did my homework.
No, Mike, no. That is actually a good segue though, because on our social media, what we do if you're new to the show, and you're wondering about any of the bands that we've had on the episode, we tag all the bands once we post the episodes on our Facebook page. So, if you're looking where you can find the band we just had on, head on over to Facebook, look for Alt Rock Radio Now, and look for our latest episode, and you will find the band there. So that's the way to do it. And then you can click through and like them and buy their music and all that stuff. And speaking of that, let's get into our next song. It comes from a guy called Craig Cardiff, who's fairly well known in Canada. He's a folk singer from Waterloo, Ontario. And he was nominated for a Juno in the past. And that's a big deal here in Canada land, as the three of us know.
Yeah.
But for anyone out there who doesn't know, it is a big thing. And Craig's awesome. He's a talented musician. The song we're going to listen to from Craig is called Memo, Not the End, Part 1.
To stay awake, life is a way of pulling you to sleep. Don't decide anything till after we meet. I hate to sleep into a frozen solid. Every moment feels like an ache. I don't know what's life for you, but no, it's no more than you can take. 'Cause this is not the end, 'cause if it were the end, it would not be so. All's well and it's well, all's not well, and it's not the end. Dear Allison, thanks for the letter, so thanks for the songs that make me feel better. Oh, in the moment, well, who knows what's next? And no more fixing, no more arrangements, no more bargaining or deals. Joke if they cut out anymore, the ghost might slip in steel. This is not the end, 'cause if it were the end, it would not be so. All's well and it's well, all's not well, and it's not the end. This is not the end, 'cause if it were the end, it would not be so. And all's well and is well, if all's not well, it's not the end. This is not the end, 'cause if it were the end, it would not be so. All's well and is well, if all's not well, it's not the end. This is not the end, 'cause if it were the end, it would not be
right, so once again, that was Craig Cardiff with his song Memo, Not the End, Part 1. So, I tried to gain some respect back with the movie stuff that we talked about earlier from last week's show. And I fear that I'm going to sort of make my ratings plummet even further by bringing up this next topic. But I'm going to do it anyway, because you know what? I don't care. No shame. Hashtag no shame. YOLO. Clearly I have no shame. What I want to bring up is most embarrassing records that you've ever bought. So something you bought at the time, you're like, oh, this is cool, you know? And then now you look back and you're like, oh God, why? I'm going to lead the charge on this one because when I was in high school, there was a song out. I think it was called Do You Really Like It? I think that's the name of the song. Something along those lines anyway. And it was by DJ Pied Piper and the Masters of Ceremonies. And they're a UK garage collaboration, or they were anyway. And their song, that song in particular, the one that I bought, came out in I think 2001, around that time. And it went to number 1 in the UK. And a lot of people really liked it. And I don't know...
Sorry, the irony with the song
that's
title.
True, actually. Do you really? I don't know if I can sing the melody actually without us having permission to play it, so I probably shouldn't. But Google it because I feel sorry for the guys a little bit saying this, but it's a bad song. It's a shit song. I don't know why I ever bought it, but I paid I don't know what I paid for it, probably £1 because it was a single. But it's just not very good. I'm ashamed to admit that I own it. But I don't know what possessed me to buy it. I just sort of got on the crest of the wave, I guess, and was like, oh, this song's cool. And I still have the CD. I still have the single.
Can I just jump in there and say UK Garage, what did you say, collaboration? Makes it sound way cooler than it is. I have heard this song, and it is probably one of the crappiest songs I've ever heard in my life.
It is. It's the worst song that I've got in my collection.
And as the person on the show with the least credibility, who's had the most embarrassing moments so far in our short 8-episode history, that's really saying something. That I think that this is the crappiest song in the whole history of the world.
It's a dreadful song. It's a really, really bad song. I just feel, I don't know, something right now. I feel bad saying it. I feel bad for the guys. I feel like I'm dissing them.
Well,
but it is a shit song. I don't
think that they're doing much these days anyway, but it's kind of like, imagine if Shaggy was, you know, like in the mall in neon pants that are like baggy and too big, and he's singing things like, you know, do you really like it? Is it wicked? And you might have an idea of how horrible this is.
Like, yeah, I'm loving it. That's how the song
and
goes.
I think it goes, I think it's I'm loving it. I'm living it, right? Yeah, right? Something along those lines. It's really, really crap. Anyway. So I guess I'll go next on that moment, on that note of me always having the most embarrassing things. So I guess probably the one that I'm most like, oh God, that was really, really bad. I mean, everybody knows that I really love me some awesome like late 90s, early 2000s pop music. And I don't feel embarrassed about that. I was a teenage girl at the time. It was like the thing. I had like the NSYNC Backstreet Boys posters. I bought my Teen Bop magazines.
Oh, I remember being a teenage girl.
The point is, it eventually ended up being the segue from country music to alternative music. So in the end, it had a positive outcome. But there was that song that came out, I think it was like in 2003 or something. Maybe it was the Amon Don't Want You Back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I thought at the time that this song was really, really amazing. I'm still like 6 months away from getting into Frank Sinatra. So I thought that this was amazing. And I went out and I didn't just buy the single. I bought the entire CD as I tended to do at the time. I always bought CDs. I was like obsessed with collecting them. So and it was the only song that I considered good. And anybody who knows that song knows that it's not very good in the first place. So you can imagine how horrible the rest of the album was. And it was a terrible, terrible disappointment.
Do you want to hear a funny story about that album?
Sure.
I'll try not to go on too long for anyone who's bored of listening to me talk, but you might like this story. So that came out, about 2003, because I was about 16. And at the time, I still lived in the UK. And my first ever real girlfriend, her name was Jenny. We just sort of got together around that time. And it was her 16th birthday. And she'd invited me over to her house, and I don't even know if we were dating at this point. And, you know, we hadn't known each other that long, and all her family was going to be there. And I was like, well, I don't know if I should go. And anyway, my friend convinced me to go. And of course, going to her house, it was sort of a last minute thing. But I needed to get her a gift. It was a birthday. I couldn't just show up empty handed, you know, it wouldn't have been the right thing to do. So I went and got her a super classy gift. You know, I didn't know very much about her at the time. But I did know that she liked that song. So I went and bought her the Amon CD and, you know, took it over to her house, presented it to her. You know, all the family sat around and she unwraps it. And, you know, one of her relatives, I think it was her aunt or something like that, asked her, you know, oh, is that the one with the song blah, 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 you know, the one that goes, you know what the lyrics are in that song, right? F you ho or whatever, I don't want you back.
Yeah.
And she's like, is that song that, you know, everyone's been talking about kind of thing? She's like, yeah. And she just sort of looks at me in this admonishing way. So I think I made a good impression with buying that CD.
I love that visual because no one does an admonishing look like the English. So I'm sure that it was like amazing.
That's true. And then she might have even said something along the lines of, you know, like, I don't know. She wasn't, I don't think she was impressed by the gift. Let's put it that way. And in hindsight, I'm like, man, surely I could have come up with something better. But that's what the 15-year-old me bought. So,
so Mike, you never have anything embarrassing because you're the cool kid.
I was over here trying to think, and like I said before, I was kind of lucky being the youngest. That like everybody else in my family had CDs, and I would sort of just go through their stuff. And I was never really into pop music so much. I was more into classic rock, so stuff that was already kind of been out there for a long time. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that came to my mind was Chumbawamba. I didn't buy that CD, but I remember it being around and listening to the album and just thinking it was absolute garbage because they had the one song up there. It was Tub Thumper or something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I like that song, though.
So that's like the one song they had, I guess. But the rest of the album was just garbage. But I just remembered something, and I think you guys will like this, and we were talking about country too, but I had a big crush on Shania Twain when I was a little kid. Maybe not a little kid, maybe too old. But so I did buy a Shania Twain album at some point.
There you go.
He says it.
I don't remember which one it was,
but we know he has the whole collection. In fact, when we came in the studio earlier, I heard singing some Shania.
Wait, is it like pleather Shania Twain or cut off jeans Shania Twain?
It was earlier. I don't even know.
Oh, cut off jeans Shania Twain.
Yeah. I thought she was hot.
I love that you actually had an embarrassing something this time. This is wonderful news for me.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that.
Mike has a wet secret. We should get into another song, I think. It comes from a band called... Where am I going here? Dirty Uniform. And they've got a great little song called Nuclear Arms. So once again, that song was Nuclear Arms from Dirty Uniform. I won't say too much about that project, but check those guys out. Head on over to our Facebook page and click on the Dirty Uniform link because it's a cool little project and there's a lot to it that I won't go into now, but have a read on their Facebook page and you'll get the info there. Just going back to Shania that Mike mentioned, I do want to throw something out there. We talked about it while the song was playing. Man, I Feel Like a Woman is a very good Shania song. It's one that I have been known to sing. I'm not going to lie. I'm not ashamed. Hashtag no shame. But Mike, what about you? Have you ever, been in the shower and belted out a bit of Man, I Feel Like a Woman?
No, but maybe I'll try that out.
Give it a go.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on that one.
I bet it's really liberating. I mean, for you, not for me.
Really? Yeah. I don't have a comment on that. I'm not going to say anything.
Do you guys sing in the shower?
I don't know.
Never.
No.
I do.
Just get to business. In and out. I don't have any
most
wet
things
secrets.
like that, don't you?
Yeah.
No, I sing in the shower. Not all the time, obviously, but yeah, I belt it out. I sometimes wonder when I'm in the shower though how much the neighbors can hear. Living in an apartment. I'm like, whatever. It sounds amazing anyway.
That's why I don't sing in the shower. I sing in the car though. As far as I'm concerned, my car is a soundproof booth.
Nice.
Like no one can hear me. And it doesn't matter if it's the middle of the summer and the streets are packed and you're in, sunny Kelowna and you're at a stoplight. Everybody can hear you because, it's not a soundproof booth.
Yeah.
But in my head it is. And I don't care. I don't care. I will sing loud and proud when I'm in my car.
It's good.
Isn't it awesome when you pull up beside someone and you just notice them and they're just belting out a song?
Totally, yeah.
They're just giving it. They got the head movements going, the arms are going.
Yeah, I'm that dork.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to see.
Yeah.
I'm fun.
I'm one of those people though that if I'm the one giving her, just and then I notice someone watching me, I'll sort of like try and make it look like I wasn't doing anything.
It's almost worse. You just gotta own it.
I don't have the balls to carry on. When I know they're watching me, I'm like, just pretend I'm brushing my hair back or looking for my sunglasses.
It's so much worse. You just got to give it. It's like karaoke, like you don't have to be good at singing to be good at karaoke. When you do karaoke, you just commit. Like the best karaoke I ever saw was 3 guys who did Kylie Minogue's Can't Get You Out of My Head, but they went for it. They were like dance moves, sang all the words, tried really, really horribly to harmonize, and it was amazing.
Nice.
Best karaoke ever.
And you couldn't get that out of your head.
No, but I didn't want to. It's nice.
Awesome. Well, I will say when I trip, when you do that little trip but you don't fall.
Yeah.
You do like the trot after you've done it, and you make it look like you were going to run anyway. Just do a little like jog down the street. I often own that, but for whatever reason, when it's like blasting out something in the car, I don't know. I just I get embarrassed, So I don't own that.
Hashtag he does have shame.
I guess I do. Somewhere there's a shame button. It's broken, maybe.
Just in your car.
Yeah. Maybe it should be the other way around. No shame in the car, but shame in public. Anyway, there's one more topic I want to bring up on this week's show before we get to the end. And I was sort of just thinking about the best possible band reunion ever. So it doesn't have to be, a band that has a realistic possibility of getting back together. It can just be, any band that you'd really like to see play that is no longer playing together.
Right.
So for me, the obvious one, and people are probably going to roll their eyes when they hear this, because it seems like every episode I manage to get a Smiths reference in, but it would be the Smiths. Obviously, there's, I just read Morrissey's autobiography, and there's very, very slim chance, as far as I can see, of the Smiths reuniting. He seems to have absolutely no appetite for it.
There's a snowball's chance in hell of the Smiths reuniting.
Yeah, he's been pretty adamant about that. So unless he plans to go back on what he said, which I don't really see him doing, I don't see that happening. So, but that would be one for me that I'd just be like, yeah, I'd be so over the moon, so thrilled. But I was wondering what you guys have, if you have any that stick out.
I'd love to see Led Zeppelin, and fortunately 3 of them are still kicking. The cool thing is they did do the reunion tour, or not tour, just the one show at I think it was at the O2 Arena. And Jason Bonham, which is John Bonham's son, plays drums for them. So that's, to me, is like the closest thing you could ever get to it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool that that they did it with him, and he was able to kind of take after his dad and do that. So I think, it's maybe it'll happen one day, and if it does, I'd love to be there for that one for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
V, what about you?
Oh, I was hoping Mike was going to ramble on for longer.
We can all go into the song.
No, that's fine. I guess I was really disappointed that I never got to see Alexis on Fire live, because I really, really love them. And it's like the perfect blend of what I love, because I love me some like good rowdy music. And I also like ballads. So the combination of Dallas Green's voice and like the hard driving of, it's just, I love Alexis on Fire. And unfortunately, when they were doing their farewell tour, Kelowna is a small city, so they didn't come here. And for those of you who don't know, we're kind of nestled in between mountains. So planning to go to a concert in the winter that is in a city that's a 4-hour drive in either direction is silly. You have to be really committed, because chances are by the time that concert rolls around, you can't get there because you can't drive because the roads are closed.
I've done a few of those and it's sketchy.
Yeah, and you feel horrible because you don't want to waste your ticket and you've been so looking forward to it.
Well, for me, the fear is, sorry, I don't mean to pull that away from you, but the fear is when you book a ticket, it's not that you're not going to be able to make it, it's that the roads are going to be closed.
Yeah.
Like if you can drive on the road, okay, we'll go. We'll just see what happens, like we're not missing the concert. But if the road was to get closed, like while you were already on your way or something like that, oh man, just be brutal. You'd miss the show. But,
which happens. That happens. So probably I would say immediately Alexis on Fire. I don't really know. I mean, okay, so here's a slightly dorkier one. I also would have really liked to have seen the Bare Naked Ladies.
Cool,
yeah.
Good Canadiana.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see them. So, yeah.
Well, I'm just going to do a little bit of bragging here because you're quite far away across the room there. I've seen BNL twice.
Ooh.
You've also seen Kid Rock, so don't get too excited.
So have I. I didn't pay for the ticket.
I have a Kid Rock bandana.
Nice.
You know what? I didn't pay actually to see Kid Rock. I actually was working. I used to do merchandise for the gigs at the local stadium here. And so I got to see shows that way, a little bit.
I would see them. I would set up all the audio and stuff there. So get into them for free, which is kind of cool.
Well, aren't you too fancy?
Fancy Dan? It sounds way better than it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But so should we get into our last song this week? You guys ready for it?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Our next song comes from a band called Wrens. They're an acoustic folk act and they're awesome. They're from Centralia in Washington, and the song that we're going to listen to is called, where is it here? It's called Don't Forget Me, and I forgot the name of the song. But here it is. Have a listen.
don't forget me. Me, and I won't forget you.
So that song was Don't Forget Me by Wrens. So we're hoping you won't forget this week's show. It is over now. Thanks again for listening. Tell all your friends. Say hello to your mum. And Mike. And most of all, support the bands. You know, even if it's just a tweet saying how rad you think they are. You know, most of the acts that we feature on the show are unsigned for the most part. So,
yeah, check them out.
Yeah, you know, like a tweet just saying that you enjoyed the music could, you know, mean a lot to them. It could be the difference between them maybe quitting and going getting regular jobs or carrying on what they're doing. You never know.
You never know, yeah.
Yeah. And don't forget, you can find them through our Facebook social media stuff. So come back next week for more Alt Rock Radio Now. That's it for this week's show, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye for now.
Alt Rock Radio Now is brought to you in part by Czek Creative. Czek Creative is a Kelowna-based digital agency that delivers results across Canada. Learn more at czekcreative.com. That's CSEK creative.com.